Okay, everybody, here we go. This is going to be testing this new venue. First of all, I'd like to tell you guys this isn't going to last for long. We are on the final countdown. This is it. I know everybody that's watching what's going on in Syria. It's probably more than obvious to you where this is all going. Hopefully, you have eyes to see and ears to hear. Um, I've been conspicuously absent from YouTube for a while now because I was overwhelmed this time last year with the revelation, the information the Lord had given me. It was too much for any human being. Anyway, so now everything has vetted out and proved out, and it goes back to the night I got saved. I don't know if, some of y'all watching will remember my testimony. I said the very first thing the Lord communicated to me was he told me to read the tags and the clothes I was carrying, and it was very odd. It's in my personal testimony on YouTube. And the very first thing I read was 100% nylon. Pretty random. I was like, what the hell does that mean? And so then I heard the Lord say, turn it upside down. And so I turned this tag up. So as I was sitting there talking to the Lord, I said, 100% nylon. What does that mean? And I heard him say, turn it upside down. I said 100%, and I turned it upside down, and it was no lion, Nolyn. It was upside down and backwards, but that's the way the Lord spoke to me. And let me know, unless you turn everything upside down and backwards, you'll have no knowledge of the kingdom of heaven. Well, it's been a long road, and here we are, and it's finally vetted itself. The truth always points back to itself. There's no variation in the truth. So anyway, that's what this is going to be about. I am going to broadcast this venue um, until the arrival. It's imminent. The arrival is imminent. World War III is imminent. We're about ready to see the end of our faith, folks. This is it. It's funny because even the radio program I have is called "This Is It Before the Fire." I don't know how many people have caught that, but the Lord actually named the program. And the very first night we started that program, we were taking calls from all over the world, and we had a lady call in from England. It was our very first caller. And if you want, you can go check out the very first program of This Is It Before the Fire. And our very first caller, I said, even before I'd picked up the lines, I said, someone's calling in right now to get saved, to give their life to Christ. I don't know who it is because the call doc was lit up. The call doc was just jam packed. And so I just clicked on this one number, and it was a lady from England named Yvonne Hughes. And her name literally means child of fire. And I came out that night and said, the Lord told me to name this program Before the Fire. And the very first caller, their name, she gave her life to Christ over the phone on the airway. And her name meant child of fire. All supernatural stuff. It's been nothing but supernatural. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to deliver to you what was delivered to me. That's what I'm here to do. By the way, anyone that's watching this, YouTube has all kinds of people that come to it. Some people come just to see what's going on. Some people come to, basically follow a venue that someone's doing and to keep an eye on certain channels. And then there's trolls, and we deal with all those things. This channel is for the Lord. This is for the Lord God. I am literally doing what I have been commanded to do. Like Ezekiel 33, if the watchman seeth the sword coming, and he warneth not the people, I will hold him personally responsible. His blood for theirs. That's what I'm doing. I'm warning you because if I warn you and you don't heed the warning, then it's all on you. But if I don't warn you, then it's on me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to warn you, and I'm going to be very, very straightforward about what you're going to see. A lot of this, you'll see parental advisory, mature content. Some of this stuff you cannot watch with children. It's too hardcore. It's very serious stuff. It'll unseat you. It'll unseat adults. Now, I'm going to show you guys something, and I'm going to use the Bible. The Bible is going to vet everything. The Bible will vet the entire ministry from the very beginning now, because now Everything's been delivered. A lot of people think that's a pretty bold statement. If you go read 1 Corinthians 13, it says, though I may have all knowledge and know all mysteries and I have not love, I am nothing. I have that. I have the knowledge. I have the wisdom. I have the gifts of healing, the gift of wisdom, the gift of knowledge, applied knowledge. It's absolutely insane what you're going to see here on this program. It's going to blow your mind. It blows my mind constantly. The Lord's given me the gift of healing. There are testimonies on YouTube, and I'm just going to do this as a little narration right now. For anyone that's new to this channel, y'all need to go back, watch my personal testimony. You need to watch the Kingdom Divided series. Jesus said, any kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. I'm going to show you those kingdoms, kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. I'm trying to also help anyone that hasn't been watching, this channel or hasn't caught the old videos to get you up to speed real quick because time's up. I mean, we're at the door to World War III. We're at the door to the arrival of Christ, the rapture of the church, the harpazo, whatever, the calling away. And there's only one group that's leaving. There's only one group that's leaving, and I'm going to try and make sure that you're in that group. Go read Revelation 3, a letter to the angel of the church of Philadelphia, and you'll understand that that is the church that's kept from the hour of testing. And I'm going to try and help you understand the most profound mystery of the entire Bible. It is the unrolled scroll. It's everything. It's the whole deal. And I know that's a pretty bold statement, but watch out. Here we go. Okay, so what you're looking at on this screen is, these are show notes from a show I did on November 11th, 2015. And there's a lot of little video clips in here, and there's a lot of stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get people up to speed on what's going on biblically. If you don't know what's going on biblically, then all these images are not going to make any difference to you. You won't understand it. I'd like to start with an image, though. I'd like to start with this image right here that you're looking at. This is an image of a sheep with its tongue sticking out. This is the sheep's eye right here. That's the sheep's eye. There's a teardrop coming out of the eye right there. This is the ear of the sheep going back. This is the top of the head, coming down to the nose. Here's the mouth open. There's the tongue sticking out. You ever wonder why Miley Cyrus always sticks her tongue out of her mouth and winks? Yep. And there's a YouTube video called Dead Sheep Testimony on my channel where I walked into a Starbucks. A friend of mine was a manager. His name was Chris Hansen. And I walked in, and there was a young man named Alex, and he kept going, "Hey, John, how you doing? Hey, Johnny, how you doing?" And I told Chris Hansen, I also have another gift. It's called the discerning of spirits. It's a supernatural gift. And I told Chris, I said, "Chris, you see that guy right there, Alex?" I said, "I'll bet you $1 million. I'll give you $1 million if I'm wrong. If I ever sell my sunglass intellectual property, I'll give you $1 million." He's going to draw a picture of me, and when he does, he's going to draw an image of me with a dead sheep on my face. Now, that's probably one of the most insane things you could probably say to a person. I mean, that's just so far out there, so weird. I mean, if I was Chris, I would have been going like, "Wow, that is bizarre." And that's exactly what he did. He was like, "What the hell, dude? What does that mean?" And I said, "Chris, I'll bet you $1 million Alex draws a picture of me with the dead sheep on my face." And he said, "Okay, I'll take it." And so about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, whatever it was, I walked in the door, and Alex said, "Hey, John, how you doing?" And I said, "Hey, Alex." And he said, "Hey, I drew a picture of you." And I went, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, let me see it." So he hands it to me over the counter, and he hands it to me right in front of Chris, and I take it and I look at it. And I have a very supernatural gift. I mean, I have many, many gifts. And when I saw it, immediately there's a dead sheep he had drawn right on the back of my neck. And mouth open, drool coming out of the mouth of the sheep. I showed it to Chris. I went, "Hey, Chris, look, Alex drew a picture of me." And Chris was like, I mean, his mouth just fell open. He was like, "Oh, my Lord." And I said, I told you. Well, at that point, Alex went on a break, and he said, he took a little break, and I said, hey, Alex, you got a minute? You got a minute? Why don't you come sit down with me? And he said, sure, John, yeah, man. So we go sit at this table in Starbucks, and we're sitting there, and I said, yeah, hey, so Alex, he said, yeah, what's up, John? Very nice kid. I think he's like 21. Very nice kid. And I said, hey man, I got a question for you. I've seen this before, so no biggie. And he's like, yeah, what, John? I said, well, this picture you drew of me. And he's like, yeah. And I said, well, why did you draw a picture of a dead sheep on my face? And he instantly went, do you know who you're speaking with? And I looked at him and I went, yeah, I think I know who I'm speaking with. Do you know who you're speaking with? And he went, yeah. Okay, well, I'm not going to go through that whole story. If you want to see it, go on YouTube. Okay, so why would somebody draw a picture of me with a dead sheep on my face? How in the hell did I get that right? I mean, how do you get that right? Just think about that. So how does some guy walk into a Starbucks and go, that guy over there is going to draw a picture of me with a dead sheep on my face and get it right? That's absolutely insane. Well, because I have supernatural gifts, I'm a harbinger. I'm an end of the world harbinger. My name, Jonathan, means Yahweh has given. My last name, Kleck, K-L-E-C-K. Go look it up. Type it into Ancestry.com. It'll say variant of the word Glock. It says messenger who rings a bell. Town crier. Someone who gathers the church. That's what Kleck means. So my name means Yahweh has given a messenger that rings a bell and gathers the church. That's what my name means. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to vet every single thing I tell you. Everything. Don't believe me. I don't want you to believe me. So anyway, so this is about making sure that you're in one of two groups. There's a group that leaves and the rest stay. I'm going to read to you from Matthew. Let's go. I'm going to read to you two different versions. I'm not an NIV fan, but for some people it's easier. So I'm going to read to you from Matthew 7 NIV, Matthew 7 King James Version, Matthew 16 NIV, Matthew King James Version. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to eSword and I'm going to show you what these words mean and what they are, because you've been lied to. Nobody really knows what's going on. I mean, as far as having knowledge of the kingdom of heaven, it's very rare to run into somebody that knows what's going on. A lot of people say they're Christians. A Christian is someone that has the indwelling spirit of Christ in them. Now, there's always naysayers. There's always the trolls. There's always the religious folks. Okay, for you religious folks, this is for you. Jesus Christ is the Lord God in the flesh, come in the flesh. Did you hear what I said? So every spirit that confesses that is of God. So Jesus Christ is Lord God come in the flesh, is the incarnation of Yahweh God into a human body, born of the Virgin Mary to bail us out of the prison we're in. And unless you're converted, you will not see the kingdom of heaven. Unless you're born again, you will not see the kingdom of heaven. And unless you're in Jesus' church, you won't be leaving here. You may have an opportunity to leave after the first group goes. But here we go. All right, so I suggest you go back and watch my personal testimony. What I'll do is I'll try and provide links in these upcoming videos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to broadcast this same format, and I'm going to add to it all the time. I'm just going to keep adding to it. So if you come in tomorrow and I'm doing a broadcast, I'm going to remind you on every broadcast you should go back to the beginning and watch everything, because everything's going to build on itself. I'm going to give it to you the way the Lord gave it to me, in doses. All at once. You'd freak out. You'd be like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day and step off the curb in front of a moving bus, because this stuff's a little bit too heavy to be able to handle all at once. Okay, now I'm going to go to my personal testimony, and I'm going to very quickly just remind you. The night I got saved the St. Anthony Hotel. I came out the back of the hotel. I walked on out the back of the hotel against incredible odds. I was I was having people that were following me, threatening my life, and I was trying to get my girlfriend out of town at the time, and that's when that's when the Lord God called me in. So anyway, when I came out the back of that hotel and I ended up on the ground, I'm not going to go through it. I'll go watch the testimony. I was standing there with an angel. His name's Michael, and he said, "Pray with me, my brother." I'll look at the camera, by the way. When I came down, I was standing with an angel. His name's Michael. He said, "Pray with me, my brother." He came alongside of me and we prayed, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen." At that point, water and light came down on me. I was filled with the Holy Spirit. I literally was looking at my body like this, going like, I was in complete and utter stupefaction. I was like, what is it? I mean, I was literally alive for the first time. And being a pro skydiver, that's a big statement because you feel alive every time you jump out of a plane because you're close to death. So after that, after I was filled with light, then Michael looked at me and he said, "Now you say a Hail Mary." And I looked at him kind of confused. I was like, and he just nodded at me. And then as I began to say those words to that prayer, which I won't repeat anymore, I felt life and light leaving my body. God was showing me where death came from. I had to understand where death comes from, the source of death. And I'm going to take you to the source of death. If you'll just continue with me during these broadcasts, you're going to know everything. I mean, you're going to know everything. You're going to know why you're here, where you came from, and where you're going. It's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? I'm going to use the scriptures to prove all of it. So as I said the words, this Hail Mary prayer, I felt life and light leaving my body. It was the craziest thing. I was like, where's it going? I was just filled with light. I'm like, it's leaving. But it was only in a certain quantity that left me. I mean, I was still buzzing and tingling, but I felt a degree of it leaving me as I said that prayer. So I'm going to click on this picture right here. This is picture H5. By the way, I'll provide this as a show note link. Let me show you guys. Let's see. Up here is a show note link right here. Let's see. No, rats. That's going to be the show note link right there. So if you guys want to copy that, type it into your thing and you can go get this exact same page that I'm looking at. It's amazing what's in here. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to show you an image of a sheep with its tongue sticking out. Here's one image of a sheep with its tongue sticking out. This is from a hieroglyph that's 1,300 years before Jesus Christ. There's a sheep's eye right there, where my cursor is, right here. Here's the sheep's nose. And hopefully that's showing up on the screen. Here's the sheep's tongue, right here. Okay. Now over here is another sheep. This is side by side with another image. We're going to look at the picture over here that's to my left. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to enlarge it so you guys can just watch with me. This will be a lot of fun if you just sit here with me and watch. I have some tools on here. I'm kind of scared to use them right now because I don't want to mess things up. You know what? I'll go ahead and do it. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, so here's the sheep's eye right here. There's an eye. Here's the other eye right here. There you go. There's a nostril right there. And here's the lips right here. I'm just outlining so you can see it. And then here's the tongue sticking out right here. So there's the tongue sticking out. Okay, and I'm just going to do this very roughly and then I'm going to delete the drawing. There's the top of the sheep's head, And this is the outline of the sheep's face right here. And this is the hair going around the sheep, you know, like da-da. Anyway, I'm going to erase that real quick. So, but now I've given you, so eye, nostril, tongue, top of the head. So it is. So now I'm going to take the same sheep and I'm going to turn it upside down. So this is death. You're looking at death right now. So it's a dead sheep. Let's talk about what Jesus said. Jesus said, Simon, son of Jonas, do you love me? He was about to tell Peter how he was going to die. He said, Simon, son of Jonas, do you love me? It's John, Gospel of John 21, last chapter. He said, Simon, son of Jonas, do you love me? And Peter said, yes, Lord, I love you. And he said, then feed my sheep. Again, a second time, he said, Simon, son of Jonas, do you love me? He said, Lord, yes, I love you. He said, then feed my sheep. A third time, he said, Simon, son of Jonas, do you love me? And he was grieved and said, Lord, you know all things. You know I love you. And so then feed my sheep. And he said, Peter, when you were younger, you went where you wanted. But when you're older, you'll stretch out your hands and others will take you where you don't want to go. Peter told this to Jesus to signify what kind of death he would die to glorify God. Peter died upside down on a cross. We're going to get into that later. I'm going to show you some extra biblical text where, you know, the whole concept of Peter being crucified upside down comes from, so you know where it actually came from. But Jesus told Peter, your death is going to glorify God. And Peter was crucified upside down. And he told him, feed my sheep. Well, you're looking at some sheep right here, right? There's a sheep right there. Yep. There's a sheep's eyes and nostril once again. Lines in the lips. And there's the tongue sticking out right there. So that's why Miley Cyrus manifests that thing. That's why Alex, the other kid that was winking at me and sticking his tongue out and all that, he was manifesting. So anyway, so now over here to my right, here's the dead sheep. Look, it's an image of the virgin. So here we go. Here's the virgin's cloak. You know, and so the tongue of the sheep now becomes the head of the virgin. Y'all see the virgin probably really easy right there. Just look at the lines. I'm just going to, you know, it's going to become a lot of other things. And then you're going to go, oh my God, why is this what it is? And it's going to blow your mind, people. Okay, so there's an image of the virgin right there. I'm going to erase it. So this is the virgin. So why is the virgin a dead sheep? Okay. So now I'm going to go back. Okay, so now here we go again. So now once I establish the sheep thing, then we're going to take off on the scriptures, but I have to establish this at the beginning because this is what was established with me. And now here it is 13 years later, and everything has been delivered into my hands. And it is the mystery of the Bible. It's the mystery of the unrolled scroll. When you unroll a scroll, you unroll it like this, the old one's up and down at the same time. And just consider the image of the sheep and the virgin. It's same as unrolling a scroll. One's right side up, one's upside down. Okay, so now we're going to look at the image of the other sheep. This is a sheep of, you know, this is a sheep that's from the hieroglyph of Akhenaten, Nefertiti. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my little pencil thing here and hope it works. So here we go. Here's the eye of the sheep right here. There's the eye. Okay, let's see, you know, this is the eye of the sheep right there. Here's a teardrop coming out of the eye of the sheep. Okay, here's the ear of the sheep right here, going back this way. There's the ear of the sheep. Here's the top of the head of the sheep, like this. I'm going to try and do the best I can. Top of the head of the sheep. Okay, and that comes to the nose of the sheep right there's the nose, coloring the nose a little bit, and here's the open mouth of the sheep right here, under the chin, under the neck. So there's another dead sheep. I'm going to go ahead and just have a little fun. Let's go ahead and color in that tongue a little bit, huh? Let's make the tongue red. So here's the tongue of the sheep sticking out like this. And this is kind of tricky to do this with this tool, but you know, So there's a sheep, teardrop coming out of the eye, tongue sticking out like Miley Cyrus, because Miley Cyrus is manifesting what's inside of her. She's a dead sheep. Y'all should pray for Miley Cyrus. You shouldn't make fun of her. You shouldn't say, oh, she's disgusting. She has been taken by the enemy. You should pray for her, folks, not condemn her. So I'm going to erase that now. So anyway, so now let's go ahead and go back. I'm going to turn that off. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go back now. And here we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing upside down now, so you can see it's the queen. Then I'm going to go to the original hieroglyph. Okay, so there's the dead sheep upside down, but it becomes the queen now. Let's go ahead and grab the pencil again. Okay, so watch this. So here we go. So here, oh, wrong color. Let me erase that. Let's go back to black. Yeah, let's go to black. There we go. So here's the eye of the queen right there. Okay, here's coming down the nose of the queen right here. You know, the lip, the mouth. Okay, there's the queen, the chin. Okay, and you're like, well, that doesn't look so much like the queen. Well, I haven't changed one thing. I'm just going over the lines. I'm just outlining it for you. So now I'm going to show it to you. There it is. I'm going to show it to you on the original image. So watch this. So let's knock that out and let's go back. And now, like I said, this is mature content. This is not something to watch with your 10-year-old, man. As I scroll through here, you're going to see female reproductive systems, all kinds of stuff. But we're going to get to here. This is going to blow your minds. Okay, so here's a hieroglyph of Akhenaten and Nefertiti right here. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge it. This is out of National Geographic, April 2001. So here is Nefertiti right here. Here's Akhenaten. There's an alien inside Akhenaten right here. The neck of the alien actually becomes a penis penetrating a female vagina. We'll get to that in a minute because we're going to end up in the Garden of Eden in a little while. Maybe not this particular broadcast, but we'll get there. So anyway, so let's concentrate on the sheep. Jesus said, feed my sheep. Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. Jesus said, like sheep, they have all gone astray. So we are, he said, and he goes out and searches for his lost sheep. So if you want to argue with me that, we're called sheep in the Bible and you haven't read your Bible. So anyway, so here's the actual hieroglyph of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. This is Nefertiti. Here's the queen. And here's that dead sheep right there. So this is actually on, I have a layover. I blew this thing up into a poster and I decrypted the whole thing. It's literally the mystery of human existence, goes all the way to what happened in the garden. Okay, so now we've established unequivocally that there's something going on. There's the Queen Nefertiti, 1,300 years BC. The queen turns into a dead sheep when you turn it upside down. So why is it when you turn things upside down that it turns to a dead sheep? That's what we're going to answer now. So. Okay, everybody, get ready. Here we go. This is it. This is where the scriptures come in. Matthew 16. I'm going to go NIV first. Okay, Peter declares that Jesus is the Messiah. And when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say the Son of Man is? They replied, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others say Jeremiah, one of the prophets. But what about you, he asked. Who do you say I am? He used the name of God, by the way. Right there, I'm just going to change it to yellow. He used the name of God. Who do you say I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, you are the Messiah. Now, folks, this is the first recognition of Jesus as a Messiah in the Bible. He's the first guy. So the first guy to know that Jesus Christ was a Messiah was Peter. And he becomes the first building stone on the whole new temple of God. Watch. And Simon Peter said, you're the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Jesus replied and said, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah." Okay, when we look at the King James, it's Bar Jonah. The word Bar Jonah means son of Jonah. Bar means son of Jonah. Okay, so he said, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father who is in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter." So he renames him right there. Simon, son of Jonah, became Peter. Now watch this. "And upon this rock, on this rock," well, the word Peter is Petros, and it means little rock. Where I'm going to do a word study, and it's going to blow your mind. The word Peter means Petros, and it means little rock, piece of rock. And then he says, "And upon this rock," right here, this rock, I'm going to highlight that in yellow also. "Upon this rock I will build," here's the most important personal pronoun in the whole Bible, my church, right there. He said, "Upon this rock I will build my church." So if you're going to be in Jesus's church, you better know what this rock is. And if you don't know what the rock is, you're not in Jesus's church. Because how did you get in his church if you're not on this rock? That's why Jesus said, in Matthew 7, a wise builder builds his house on the rock. And it's the same word. It's called Petra. And it is right after Petros in the concordance. So anyway, so here we go. So I'm going to name you Peter. You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. End of story, people. Jesus's church, no matter what, is on the rock. There it is, my church. "And the gates of hell will not overcome it. And I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven," right there. I'll do it in yellow just so you can see it. "And I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven." We're going to do a word study on that. So sit tight. It's going to blow your mind. What do you do with the key? I'm just going to give you a hint. What do you do with the key? You put a key in a lock and you turn the key upside down and the door opens. Say it again. You put the key in the lock. You turn the key upside down and the door opens. What happened with that dead sheep? Why did I get saved in an alley? I prayed to our Father, and I received the Holy Spirit. Jesus said, when you pray, pray thusly, "Our Father who art in heaven." He even told us how to pray. So when I prayed the Hail Mary, when I said the Hail Mary after I got saved, I felt death. So one way was life, one way is death. Just keep watching. It's pretty wild. Okay, so I'll give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. I'm going to go to Matthew 16 now in King James because that's what we're going to use to break this down. So, he asked him again, "Who do people say the Son of Man are?" Everybody was wrong. Some say you're John the Baptist, last Jeremiah is one of the prophets. Wrong, 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 wrong. The recognition of the Messiah does not come from man. It comes from the Holy Spirit. It comes from God himself. You do not find out who Jesus is because of a man. You go to God yourself. I'll prove it. No one comes to the Father, or no one comes to the Son unless the Father draws him. Type it into Google, it'll give you your scripture. No one comes to the Son unless the Father draws him. So Jesus said, "Who do you say that I am?" And Simon Peter said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." Look what Jesus said to him. And Jesus answered and said to him, "Blessed art thou, Simon Bar Jonah," means son of Jonah. This is going to be really important you understand that the word B-A-R before a name means son of, because I'm going to tell you a little story that's going to smoke your brain. So he said, "Blessed art thou, Simon Bar Jonah, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood did not reveal it to thee, but my Father which is in heaven." So the recognition of the Messiah came from the Father. And that's how it's got to be for all of us. No one comes to the Son unless the Father draws him. And then he says, "And I say unto thee, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build," there it is again, my church. My church. So upon this rock, I will build my church. Now I told you, my job is to make sure that you're in his church. I don't know, you think you're Presbyterian, Baptist, Episcopal, Catholic, any of those? None of them matter. Unless you know the truth, and Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So you're not even in his church unless you know him. And unless you know him intimately, unless he's inside of you, unless you know him, you're not in his church. That's all there is to it. And he says, and I will give unto thee the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Okay. Well, I'm trying to decide. I'm looking at the recording time. We're at 35 minutes and 41 seconds. I'm trying to decide whether or not I should drop the scriptural bombs on you right now. Let's go ahead and do some scriptural bombs for you guys, okay? Here we go. Okay, here, this is called eSword. This is KJV plus. So when you hover over any word, my father, the word father is Greek 3962 patar, and it literally means a primary word, a father, parent. Okay, so which is in the word heaven it's Greek word Uranus, and it means the idea or the sky, by extension the heaven, the abode of God. So each word is broken down into its Greek equivalent, and you can understand exactly what the word means. So I want to show you guys, let's go ahead and get into this. So I'm trying to give you guys the key to the kingdom of heaven today. Okay. And I say unto thee that thou art Peter. Let's look at the word Peter. The word Peter is Petros. Primary word, a piece of rock. That's what it means. Piece of rock. And upon this rock, and the word is Petra. I want to show you some. It's G4074. That's the number. Greek word 4074. It means a piece of rock. Rock. A piece of rock. Well, I do, before I started doing all this, I was in construction. I build things. And when you build any building, you have a foundation. And you have a foundation, if you really want it to last, your foundation is of rock. But that rock foundation is a big piece of rock. And then if you want to build on top of it, you build with, other pieces of rock. Of course, you frame up, but, back in those days, rocks were built on top of rocks. Now watch this. So here's Peter. Jesus just said, hey, I'm going to call you, thou art Petros. And upon this rock, Petra, it's Greek words 4073, I will build my church. Look at the word my. It says of me, mine, my own. So if you're in Jesus's church, I don't care who you are or what you say, according to the word of God, you are not in Jesus's church unless you're on this rock. You have to be on this rock. He says, I will build my, and it says of me, mine, my own. And the word church means a calling out. That's what it means. Church is those that are called out. Congregation, assembly. Doesn't mean a building. It means calling out. If you've been called out and you know what these words mean and you know what they are, you'll understand. That's why the Bible says, whoever has ears, let him hear. And so he says, okay, I'm going to name you Petros, and upon this Petra, I will build my calling out congregation. Okay? A congregation that has been called out. That means you're called out of here. And he says, and I will give unto thee the keys. I want you to look at this word keys. It means a key, place, a key, as shutting a lock, and it says literally or figuratively a key. What do you do with the key? Let's just break it down. Let's see, do I have a key here? No, I got them in the other room. If you have a key, you put a key in the lock, it goes in, it has a certain, it has a certain design on that key. That's what gets it in the lock. And then you turn it upside down. And so this side goes, this side of the key goes like this. And then the bolt retracts and the door opens. So what was on this side when it goes in the lock, when it turns upside down, then it's on the other side. You follow me? So whatever was inscribed on this side, when you turn it upside down, then it's on the other side. That's what a key is. And I will give unto thee the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Also, it means literally or figuratively a key, just as shutting lock. That's why when I showed you the images of the sheep, and I showed you, well, why is it when you take the virgin and you turn it upside down, it becomes a dead sheep? Why is it when you take a hieroglyph that's 1,300 years before Jesus Christ was born? I mean, that's a hieroglyph that was 1,300 years before the arrival of Christ. And it's got the exact same agenda? I don't think so, folks. That means it had to be produced somehow the same way. I mean, who the hell is producing images of women that you turn them upside down and they're dead sheep? It's kind of freaky. But you will get all the answers here. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Guaranteed. So here we go. So now I've shown you what these words mean. Now let's go to Matthew 7. Okay, well, I'm trying to make sure that you're not in the wrong group. I told you there's going to be two groups. There's going to be a group that leaves, and then there's going to be a big group that stays on planet Earth when everything goes down, and you don't want to be here for that. It's going to be bad. The worst horror the world's ever seen is coming. Okay, so let's go to Matthew 7. And I want you to look at verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, it's the same word, which is in heaven. So I want you to think about that. There's going to be people that go, Lord, Lord, haven't we done this and done that in your name? And he's going to say, depart from me, I never knew you. Watch this. Many will say to me, the word many, largely, mostly, abundantly, many, plenteous. So these are people that think they know God because they're saying, Lord, Lord. They think they know God. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have we not done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity. Okay, do y'all know that Jesus is the Word in the flesh? Okay, Jesus Christ is Gospel of John. I'll just show you very quickly. I'm just going to do this so you know. Gospel of John, chapter 1, then we'll go back. In the beginning was the Word. It is, look at it, capital W-O-R-D, Logos. Y'all remember that word. Logos. So Jesus is the Logos. In the beginning was the Word. That's why it's capital. Logos. And the Word was with God. Supreme God. And the Word was God. So God is the Word. In the beginning, the same was in the beginning with God. And the Word became flesh. Now let's go back to Matthew 7. Okay, the word logos. So if you don't even know what the logos is, you don't know Christ at all. So if you don't understand the word, You know, a lot of the religious folks think they understand the word, and they always, Jonathan Kleck's a reptile. Well, yes, everybody's got the serpent seed in them. That's why you have to be born again, people. Why do you think you're anxiously awaiting the redemption of your body? I'm going to throw those little sidebar comments in just to, entertain myself, I guess. Yeah. Just stay with me. All right. So the word logos is synonymous with God, with Jesus. Jesus is the logos. It says it. And the logos became flesh. So watch this. So here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Not everyone that saith to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father. Many will say to me in that day, what day? The day that's coming. The day that's about to happen. It's coming. I guarantee it. They'll say, Lord, Lord, because they think they know God. It's like you go to someone's house, you knock on the door, and you say, hey, Billy, let me in. Or whoever the person. You say that twice because you think you know them. That's why it's written like this, I guarantee it. Because they're going to go, Lord, Lord, haven't we prophesied in thy name? Because they think they know God, but they don't. Now watch. He says, and then I will profess to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings, look what the word sayings is. The word sayings is the word logos. Whoever heareth these logos, Jesus is the logos of mine, and doeth the word, the word doeth is, abides in them and agrees. It means to understand, to abide, and to agree in them. I will liken unto him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. Woo! Wait a minute, folks. So there's going to be a bunch of people that go, Lord, Lord, let us in, let us in. He's going to say, sorry, you can't come in. I don't even know you. But those that hear these logos, which Jesus is the logos, so you have to know Jesus just to know the word, because the Bible is encrypted by a spirit. It's like if you have a computer and you think you want to translate something that's Chinese. Well, you can't translate a document that's Chinese unless you have something that translates Chinese. And if you don't have it, you'll never understand it. So if you don't have the Spirit of the living God in you, you'll never understand the logos because it recognizes itself. Whoever has ears, let him hear. So whosoever heareth these logos of mine and doeth them, abides in them, understands them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house on a rock. Look at that. Oh, wait a minute. That's the same word, Petra. That's from Matthew 16. So if you built your house on the rock, then you're good to go. But if you didn't, you're in trouble. See, I keep telling you, everything will always point back to the truth. Always. It said the rain descended and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon the rock. I'm going to show you right now. That is Petra G74073. It was founded upon the rock. Okay? Okay, I'm going to go back to Matthew 16. Let's go down to Matthew 16. And I say unto thee that thou art Peter, which means Petros. It's a little rock. And upon this rock, Petra, there it is. See? I will build, there it is, my church. My group that's called out. Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and drop the bomb on you. What do you do? What happens to an animal when it steps into a snare? A snare is a trap that the victim steps on and it turns them upside down and kills them. Then they're just hanging there and they're toast. Animals are snared all the time. It's how trappers do a lot of traps. What you do is you take a tree and you bend it down. You usually take a young bent sapling and you bend it down to the ground. You take the bent sapling and you bend it down, and then you put a noose on it, and then you have a circular noose on the ground, and then there is a trigger mechanism in the middle that bisects that circle, and then when that thing is touched, boom, it releases and up goes the victim and is turned upside down. So the victim of a snare is turned upside down. Everybody, that's simple stuff. Well, does anybody know about my sunglass company? Vlad Eyewear, vampire sunglasses. I'll show you that maybe in an upcoming video. Vampire Sunglasses is the name of the company I had. Our tagline is "Come out of the darkness and into the light with Vlad Eyewear." You know, I'd pay myself to do the skydiving and the marketing, advertising. Me and my friends would go, you know, to Cancun, Florida, whatever we wanted to do, and jump out of planes, you know, jet ski. We'd just put fangs on and sunglasses, and we would videotape ourselves having a really good time. Would edit those into TV commercials for MTV VH1, and you know they were edited to go on those channels, and then that would be our marketing. Then we'd say, "Come out of the darkness and into the light with Vlad Eyewear." That's what I used to do before I got saved. The vampire. That'll be really significant later. Okay, so let's go ahead and just crack this open, and then I'm going to wrap this one up, and this will be your scriptures for the day. You guys go study this. Okay, I told you, come out of the darkness into the light with Vlad Eyewear. And I was always upside down in every point of purchase ad. You know, it'd be nice to find one real quick. Anyway, so check this out. That's a picture of me skydiving, and I'm upside down. I don't know. There you go. And I'm upside down in the image. I'm falling out of the sky upside down. There you go. Yep, vampire sunglasses. That's one positive I saved. There's another one of our advertisements. Vampire sunglasses. Everyone's got fangs on because they're for vampires. Anyway, so come out of the darkness into the light with Vlad Eyewear. It's pretty cool. It made Guinness's Book of World Records twice. Best advertising. Most sunglasses sold in a year used by Ray-Ban. 1999 edition, Millennium Edition, 2000. Anyway, but let's go ahead and freak out together now. Y'all ready to freak? Who's ready to freak out? I told you I was going to get you out of the one. I want to make sure you're in the right group. I want to make sure that you know in your heart that you know Christ and that you are in his church, because he said, if you want to be in my church, you better be on the rock. That's what he said. It's very narrow. That's probably why he had me do this, because he knows I had a certain type of life that I just don't put up with stuff. That's because he needed somebody that could deal with all the haters and all the psychopaths, God have mercy on them, that come through YouTube. So here we go. Okay, because YouTube's an open forum. By the way, anyone that leaves a hateful comment, you get one. That's it, and then you're gone. You will be blocked. So you can get your comment in. And I won't be mean to you. I feel sorry for you, because if you don't get this, you're done. You will. You know, those that are on the rock that have the key to the kingdom of heaven, the gates of hell will not prevail against his church. But against those that don't, the gates of hell will prevail against you. So you will be stuck in those gates. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead. 1 Peter 2. Okay, get ready, folks. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and all hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. If so be you have tasted that the Lord is gracious, to whom coming, here we go, watch, as unto a living stone. The word is lithos, He's a living stone. He's alive. Disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of God and precious. And you also as living or lively stones, the word is also lithos, it's the exact same word, are built up into a spiritual, it says non-carnal, supernatural, regenerate house, temple. Look at it. So you're being built up into a supernatural temple, a holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God by Christ. Wherefore it is also contained in the scripture. If you want to know what scripture this is, where it's contained, go look at Isaiah 28. We're going to do that probably on our next video. Then you're really going to freak. Wherefore it is contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Sion a chief cornerstone, lithos, elect and precious. And he that believeth on him shall not be confounded. It means disgraced or put to shame. Unto you, therefore, which believe, he is precious. But unto them which are disobedient, here it comes, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner. It means the chief cornerstone of the foundation. So the foundation of Christ, the building of the temple, is made by Jesus Christ. We know that. And he is a stone, a lithos, of stumbling. And there's that word rock. Look, and a rock, here it comes, and a rock of offense. Everybody look at what that word means. It means a snare, a bent sapling that is a snare. To them which stumble at the Logos. So now all you religious folks that think religion is the way to go, it's a personal relationship with the one that turns your world upside down, because until you get saved, you're in the snare. Why do you think Peter was crucified upside down? Because Peter represents what we all represent, that which is evil. I'll give you another scripture, Psalm 146.9. The Lord loveth the righteous, but the way of the wicked he turneth upside down. So, watch this. So, the basis of Christianity and the foundation of everything, the foundation of all of Christianity has to be built on this rock. Jesus' church is the rock. It's the Petra. And if you're not on the Petra, you are not in his church. I don't care what you say. You can say what you want. That's why the very first communication the Lord gave me was, read the tags in your shirt, Jonathan. I was like, what? Read the tags in my shirt? 100% nylon. What does that mean? Turn it upside down. 100% no lying. 100% truth. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That's why I can walk into a store and say, that guy right there is going to draw a picture of me with a dead sheep on my face and be right. That's why. That's why everything you're going to see from here on out is going to absolutely smoke your mind. You are going to be absolutely, completely, and utterly stupefied at the gift of knowledge and the gift of wisdom. This is the understanding of all of it. If you don't understand that Jesus is, I'll read it again, he is made the head of the corner. So he is the head cornerstone of the church. I don't care what anybody says. That's what the scriptures say. Go look at Isaiah 28. And the stone of stumbling, a stone is lithos and stumbling is offense, occasion of apostasy, And a rock, there it is, a Petra. Jesus said, and upon this Petra, I will build my church. Upon this Petra. He gave Peter the keys. Peter was crucified upside down. Jesus was crucified right side up. You put the key in the lock, and it's in the shape of a cross, and you turn it upside down, and that which is above becomes that which is below, and that which is left becomes that which is of the right. He is a rock of offense. There it is, people. It says a trap, stick, bent sapling that is a snare. Why do you think he was crucified on a piece of wood? How about this one? I'll wrap it up on this and then we'll start on the next video. Okay, how about this? In the history of the world, on the X timeline, okay, for those of y'all that have any background in science or math, whatever, you know, X and Y axis will start at 0 and we'll do the X timeline going to the right positive direction. In the history of the world, the entire world, there was a weekend in which 3 guys were imprisoned. And it happened to be over a religious holiday called the Passover, which represented the children of Israel leaving slavery. Okay? And before they left, blood was put over the doorposts and over the lintel. So you have blood over the lintel and on the doorpost. Looks like the pie symbol. Okay. Well, way after the children of Israel left Egypt and Jesus shows up, he happens to be arrested on that particular weekend, that is the Passover, which represents, you know, the blood of a lamb being put over the doorpost and over the lintel. And it represents a group of people that were slaves becoming a group of people that were free. And that particular weekend in a Roman jail, there were 3 guys, Dismas, Justus, and Barabbas. And so the executioners, to kill these 3 guys that were set to be killed that weekend, the executioners had to make 3 crosses made of wood. Okay? Okay. Well, imagine in the whole history of the world that this guy that claimed he was the Messiah, the Son of God the Father, he was taken into custody, and then Pontius Pilate did not want to crucify him because he knew he wasn't guilty. So he tried to set him free, and he let him stand there in front of the crowd, in front of the Jews who he came to save his people. And he said, I'll give you a choice. You can have Barabbas set free, or you can have Jesus of Nazareth, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus, Yeshua. And everybody wanted Barabbas to be saved. Do y'all know what Barabbas means? His name is Barabbas, but if you look it up, it translates as Bar Abba, A-B-B-A. It's the same as the sheep I just showed you. A-B, write an A on top of a B, do it on your piece of paper, draw a line, and then write a B on top of an A. Abba. So in the history of the world, that particular weekend, that was a celebration of the Passover where the slaves left Egypt. They put blood over the doorpost and the lintel. That same weekend, however many years later it was, I don't know, Jesus of Nazareth, the Son of the Father, because Jesus is the Son of the Father was taken into custody, and then another guy was let go, even though he was a murderer and a villain, and the crowd chanted Barabbas, Barabbas, and then said, crucify Jesus. So the guy who was gonna get killed, his name is Barabbas, which means son of Abba, the Father. And then Jesus, the real Son of the Father, Barabbas, took the cross for him. Try and wrap your brain around that. So Jesus Christ is the Son of the Father. And when you get saved, you become Barabbas. Same as I did. We're all children, sons of the Father, Barabbas. And so Jesus took the cross for a guy named Son of the Father. And then the real Son of the Father got up on that cross to show us that he would take the penalty for your sins no matter how vile you are. And believe me when I tell you, before I got saved, I was vile. I did whatever I wanted. And I had enough money to do whatever I wanted. But after I got saved, my real testimony is, even though I own the intellectual property, although I've sold parts off over the years, it wasn't the thing that drove me anymore, and it made over $100 million, people, and I could care less. What I care about is you, and I care about your soul, and I care about that you're in one of these groups, this one that leaves the Church of Philadelphia. That's your Bible study for today, people. I'm gonna X out eSword real quick. I'm gonna go back to some images and let's see, show you guys a couple images just to get you ready. When you take those two sets, well, I ended up on another show notes. Let me open this one. There we go. Let me show you some real quick, just to prove my point. I told you Peter was crucified upside down. Woe unto you, Pharisees, for you hide the key to knowledge. You don't enter the kingdom yourselves, and you stop others from entering. I'm telling you, I have that key. I gave it to you already. I just gave it to you. Yeah, I wanted the key to turn everything upside down and backwards. I'm going to prove it to you. Anybody know what St. Peter's Basilica is, right? It's where the Roman Catholic Church is. I used to be Catholic. I was raised Catholic. Go ahead and get on Google Earth and type in St. Peter's Basilica. Woe unto you, Pharisees, for you hide the key to knowledge. That means they have the key and they're hiding it. Let me show you how obvious this is. Get on Google Earth, type in St. Peter's Basilica, and come in from above, and let me show you a giant keyhole. There's the basilica. There it is. See the big yellow keyhole? Look, right there. See it? Look underneath it. You see that big red upside down cross with the circle in the middle? That's the Vatican. How do they know what I know? Because Satan has hijacked it. You're looking at the key from above. The key, the cross, Peter, that's why they named it St. Peter's Basilica. The word basilica means royal abode of the basilisk. Does anyone know what a basilisk is? A basilisk is a legendary serpent that kills with its breath or with its look. Well, watch this. Why don't you go ahead and take your mouse and come on in at a 45-degree angle to the basilica. And I'll show you what you'll see. It's picture H8, right? H8 right here. You're going to see a serpent wearing a crown. Oh my gosh. Here's the serpent's crown. It's the dome on top of the basilica. And then when you follow these lines, here's the eye of the serpent. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and get my pen. There you go. There you go. Here's the eye of the serpent right here. Here's the other eye of the serpent right here. Here's the hole that the tongue comes out. Go ahead and look under this on the ground. You'll see a sidewalk right under this, right here, that goes like this. Right underneath that window, you'll see a sidewalk that splits just like a serpent's tongue. Here's the crown on top of the head of the serpent. There's the crown on top of the head of the serpent. Here's the serpent's body. The serpent's pregnant. Dun, 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 dun. And it goes all the way down. See it? There you go. St. Peter's Basilica. There it is. Woe unto you, Pharisees, for you hide the key to knowledge. You don't enter the kingdoms yourself, and you stop others that were trying to enter your damnation shall be the worst. And so it should be. Okay, that's your first Bible study. This is the venue I'm going to do. Jesus is coming. He told me specifically it's time to warn everybody. It's time to come out of, my sabbatical. I took basically almost a year off. I only made an occasional video. The Lord told me I could take a break this time last year because I was so overwhelmed. I was about to just go off the deep end. This is too much for a human being to handle or to understand. If you'll stay with me, we're going to end up on the we're going to end up in Genesis. Seed of the serpent, seed of the woman. I'll give you a quick preview right now just so you can see. I want you guys to go do your homework before you come back. Just go do your own homework. Watch. Genesis 3. Now the serpent, the word is Nakash. Says a snake from its hissing sound. By the way, Nakash is not a serpent that crawls on the ground. It is a humanoid type serpent, and it bred with Eve. I'll prove it. We'll get into this later. I want you to see some. Now the serpent was the most subtle of any of the beasts of the field which the Lord God had made, and he said unto the woman, you know what the word woman means? Adulteress. Why would the word woman, the second form is an irregular plural, a woman used in the same wide sense as H52, adulteress. And the serpent said to the woman, yea, hath God said you shall not eat of every fruit. And he tricked her. And if you go down and you look, said, and the woman said, Genesis 3:13, and God said unto the woman, the adulteress, what is this thou hast done? And the adulteress said, the serpent beguiled me. Primitive root, to lead astray, that is mentally to delude or to seduce, to beguile. Look up the word seduce. It means to coerce into having sex. I'll just give you a little hint. Jesus told the Pharisees, when you lie, it's consistent with your character, for you are children of the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning, people. Satan was a murderer from the beginning. What was the first child born on the earth? His name was Cain. What did he do to his brother Abel? He murdered him. And there began the entire vampiric system that you live in. One lives off the other, brother against brother. Okay, guys. I'm going to upload this, and then we'll be doing this on a regular basis. I will show you stuff from everyday life. I will give you so much information. You will not be able to probably handle it. You'll have to deal with it in doses. Okay? So God bless you guys.